to tonight's action. Canucks and Maple Leafs going head-to-head, 7 o'clock Eastern time start from Toronto. And the Canucks finally get away from Montreal, right? They really needed to get away from Montreal, but now they're going to be up against one of the best power plays in the entire NHL as we take a look at the goal leaders this season. In terms of power play percentage, I believe the Leafs are number one at around 43% with the man advantage, which I hear is good.
That's good.
I hear it's good. So they may want to try to avoid taking penalties tonight, that being the Vancouver Canucks. Now, what's interesting is Manny Malhotra used to work for the Vancouver Canucks. Now he works for the Leafs. And, you know, Sheldon Keefe gave him the power play and said, this is going to be your baby. You're going to take the power play. Whatever you want to do, it's up to you. And Keefe's been asked about this week, obviously, with Malhotra facing his former team as an assistant coach of the Leafs. And Keefe had this to say. He said it started with the vision he had for the group, how he wanted it to look in terms of structure, but then also in terms of how he wanted it to look in terms of having two units and having different people involved and having a strong net front presence. And those were some changes from last season. He felt confidently enough that that's what he wanted to go with, and I supported him in that. Now, what Sheldon Keefe is alluding to is that last year, for a large majority of the time, when you looked at the top power play unit, you had Matthews, Marner, Tavares, and Nylander together a lot. This is the time on ice per game, power play time on ice per game. Last year, over 2 minutes a game. This year, that's down to about 34 seconds per game. Obviously, it's a much smaller sample size, but those four were together predominantly on that top power play unit. So Malhotra comes in and says, I'm going to split them up. So he's got Matthews and Marner on the top unit and Tavares and Nylander on the second unit. And you saw Keefe talk about net front presence as well. As we know, Wayne Simmonds has taken on that role and been very good at it. As we take a look at some tape, Mitch Marner saying that Simmonds has actually told him, shoot right at my chest. I don't care. I'll take the hit and I'll hope for that puck in a second opportunity. And, you know, Wayne Simmonds has scored a couple goals on the power play, but it really has provided, and this is Hyman in the same situation on that second unit, really providing a different look from the Leafs because we know they have talented, high-skilled players, but you still need to create chaos in front, right? Am I right on that?
Yes, 100% you do. You need to create that confusion and take away the goalie's eyes. And just coming off of that, I just love what Sheldon Keefe able to give Manny Malhotra the keys to the bus and run with it, right?
Yeah.
He's coming in with new ideas. For a coach to be able to do that, I don't think every coach would, and kudos to him for... You know, looking at his
every coach would. You know that.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So good for Keefe to do that and let Manny Malhotra run with it. But they're paying dividends right now. And it's hard as a penalty killer to now have to worry about two different units, right? Usually you do a pre-scout and you basically just pre-scout their top unit, right? You're like, oh, their second unit has, you know, these kind of tendencies, but we're going to see this unit for a minute 30.
Yeah, most of the power play.
So let's really focus on them. So now they have two units, kind of two different looks to the way they're set up and where the attacks can come from. So it's very challenging for a penalty kill. So I really love what they're doing.
Yeah, you know, and Manny Malhotra, it's interesting. I remember him coming into the league with the New York Rangers. He was a first-round draft pick. He came to that organization at a time when they were really struggling, and it was a little bit difficult for him. But he made his way through and played many, many years in this league until an eye injury kind of, derailed him at the end. But he was a good penalty killer, and he was a smart player. And so now he's looking at it. He's bringing that to the table, right, Ryan? You were a good penalty killer. You were a guy that actually worked on both units. But when you're a good penalty killer, you know the things that you don't like to see. And so you try to, if you're a smart guy, and I think Manny is a smart hockey guy, you bring that into the mix. And then you have to have one other key ingredient. The players. And they have a number of guys that he can split up. And so you put all of it together, and it's worked very well for the Leafs so far. We got a ways to go, but I like that you have two different units because then that first unit, they can work hard as a power play as well because you got to retrieve pucks, you got to work hard. And so now they don't have to be out there the whole time. So that helps as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think, too, like fans at the start of the year, right, especially in Toronto, right, they just overreact sometimes to everything, right? Like, you know, I think it's human nature to assume, like, well, just put all the best players on the top power play unit and it's going to be deadly. But I think it's nice that they've, you know, split those four up and made both units, dangerous. And then to have Wayne Simmonds on the top unit has worked out. And we take a look at how many different players have scored power play goals for the Toronto Maple Leafs so far. 14 different skaters have at least a power play point this season as well. That's tops. in the National Hockey League. And it's a bit of a joke when you go to a game, or when fans could go to games, and team would be on the power play and you'd hear fans yelling, shoot, shoot, shoot. But there is something to that. And Keith and Malhotra have been preaching that they wanted to see the Leafs take more shots, especially from high danger areas. That's part of that net front presence. And so far that has been the case. Again, a small sample size, but their attempts are up, but their high danger chances are up. And I feel like that is because they are creating a little bit more havoc in front and getting those second opportunities in front of the net, in the sweet spot in front. So it's working.
Yeah, it's working. And I heard the start of play, they were talking about putting that in the loudspeaker. Shoot! Just so the power play felt at home.
Right,
you know?
right.
It felt like
It's always the same.
Oh, it's so
Well,
funny.
you know what? When you shoot, right? What happens? You shoot, everybody has to turn.
Yep.
The defenders have to turn, they have to find pucks, and you get more high danger chances because of loose scrambles in front of the net. So good for the Leafs. We'll see if they can keep it up.
Yeah, coming into the show, I was like, I'm definitely going to have to make the shoot joke. Otherwise, people are like, is Jackie saying they need to shoot more? Is that really her analysis right now?
No.
All right.
Doesn't hurt. Don't turn down good shots.
No,
that guy never turns down a good shot.
No, I don't
Good
think
reason.
so. I don't think so.
Nor should he.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. You shoot the puck, and like you said, you got to turn. And that's when those seams open up, right? That's when you can start making those little seam passes, one-timers. That's where you get those pretty plays, is because guys are searching. Guys are like, where's the puck? Where's my guy? You know,
They're
trying to retrieve. Scrambling.
Yeah.
So everything gets created off of that first couple shots, and you get rolling.
And when you shoot, right, now you shoot, you establish the shot. The defender has to respect the shot. Like you said, now it opens up a lot of things. So.
Yeah, Leafs power play is rolling. We'll see how they do tonight, taking on the Vancouver Canucks. Should be a good one. I hope the Canucks have a good outing tonight, though.
You know, the
I'd
Canucks,
like to see them play.
Canucks have
better.
played. This is their 14th game in 23 days. That's a lot of hockey.
Is that's got to be the most?
That's a
we'll
that's
find
a
out.
lot of hockey when you think about it. You know how that is. And traveling across Canada, not easy for a team that's had some struggles so far this year.
Yeah, no practice time to figure out your game, too, right?
Yeah.
You know, right now,
Good point.
I'm sure the Vancouver coaches are like, man, I really could use a practice right now just to hone in on these guys. And you don't have that luxury. Guys need the rest on those days off.
And we do have confirmation from JA in research behind the scenes. That is the most games for any team in the NHL.